know where it's time to go. We all know what it's time to talk about. The New York Giants have finally decided to get their acts together. It has been announced that Daniel Jones, quarterback out of Duke, the number 6 overall pick in this past April's NFL draft, is the new starting quarterback for the New York Giants. Eli Manning, 232 career starts since 2004 NFL record. It has come to an end. It's not consecutive starts because Bob McAdoo, the chubby Pat Riley wannabe who decided to bench Eli Manning a couple of years ago, ended up losing his job along with the GM. That's not going to be the case for Pat Shurmur. Here's the situation. Daniel Jones has been named the starter for Sunday's game at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Since 2017, Eli Manning, third worst QBR, fifth fewest yards per attempt, minimum 500 pass attempts. Eli Manning is not what he used to be. I know there's a lot of people that might question this. I have no problem with this move by Dave Gettleman, by Pat Shurmur, by John Mara, by Mr. Tisch, by the Giants organization. It is absolutely, positively the right move to make. And here's a couple of reasons, a few reasons as to why that is. New York Giants are 0-2 on the year. New York Giants have looked absolutely putrid offensively. Even worse defensively, by the way. Ranked 30th in the National Football League in points allowed. Ranked 28th in yards allowed. Ranked 30th in yards allowed overall. In passing yards allowed, 18th against the run. The only thing decent about them is their rushing attack because Saquon Barkley is clearly the best running back in football talent-wise.
Start to this season was not what this team wanted or expected.
You're the Giants. It makes all the sense in the world.
Sending their two-time Super Bowl winning quarterback to the bench.
Eli's not getting benched because of his play. He's getting benched because that defense and that team is not a playoff contender.
I don't understand the move at this point.
They believed it was time to turn the page, end the Eli era, and start a new one with Daniel Jones.
The Stephen A. Smith Show on ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Guests on the Stephen A. Smith Show appear via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line.
If you missed any of to 1.5% cash back on every purchase, everywhere. Hey, what's in your wallet? Also, a reminder that Golic and Wingo will be live from New York this Friday, covering the Jets-Patriots matchup, part of ESPN Radio's Fall Football Tour. Brought to you by Marathon. Get 5 cents off every gallon every day with Make It Count rewards from Marathon. To sign up, visit MakeItCount.com or download the free app. 888-SAY-ESPN. That's 888-729-3776. You are listening live to the Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio, ESPN News. Always great to have my next guest on the line, former Super Bowl champion with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Obviously a tremendous NFL analyst for ESPN. Does a phenomenal job for us on NFL Live. Shows up on First Take several times a week. Catch him on SportsCenter, particularly on Sunday evenings after the games. Doing a great job for us. I'm talking about the one and only Ryan Clark. He's live right here with Stephen A. ESPN Radio, ESPN News. What's up, big boy? How are you, man?
What's up, my man? How you doing?
All right, what the hell was up with today, man, when you just had on a V-neck shirt and you didn't have on no shirt and tie or whatever? What's up with that? You trying to flex and show everybody how much shape you in compared to the rest of us? I mean, what was that about, Ryan?
I've been in the gym, man. I've been in the gym, and the people need to know. The people, hey.
Ryan, who am I to talk? I'll be looking for you in about 2 months. I'll be looking for you in about 2 months, Ryan. I need all the help I can get, bro. I need all the help I can get. Ryan Clark right here with Stephen A. at ESPN. Listen, Ryan, you heard the news about the Giants electing to bench Eli Manning in favor of Daniel Jones. What was your initial reaction? How do you feel about it now?
Say it again, my man. I couldn't hear you. What'd you say?
I said you heard the news about Eli Manning being benched in favor of Daniel Jones. How did you feel about it then? Yesterday, how do you feel about it now?
It should have happened a long time ago. I think, a lot of people understood that Daniel Jones earned this. You understand what Eli has done for this team and for this organization, but don't you think we let this go on about 4 years too long? And you go out, you draft Daniel Jones, and this is a guy you want to sit, but he shows you throughout the offseason and OTAs and training camp and preseason that he's ready to play. And what they did now was they sent Eli out there to show us that this team isn't good enough to win, that Eli isn't good enough to be the starting quarterback of the New York Giants. And so now we know the expectations are so low that Daniel Jones can't fail. But I believe if you started with Daniel Jones, this team would have a different hope, a different excitement, and move in a different way than it has these first two games. So to me, this decision is 3 weeks too late.
Ryan Clark, is this more about Daniel Jones and your belief in him, or is this about the New York Giants finally saying, look, y'all, Eli's just not good enough anymore. We're not even fighting it?
I think they're now making it that it's about Daniel Jones. But if it was about Daniel Jones, Stephen A., don't you think you saw enough before the season started? Nothing has changed in that time except that we've seen that this defense is more talent depleted than we even imagined before the season. And you also know that Eli Manning is done. But Eli Manning doesn't look any different than he looked last year or he looked the year before when he had Odell Beckham Jr. And so this is now a decision being made because they aren't putting a good product on the field. I've talked to different people, and they said Pat Shurmur wanted Daniel Jones, both when he drafted him and both to start this season as the starting quarterback of this team. But they had a plan. They respected Eli and the way he'd gone about his business, so they wanted to stick to that plan and see what this team could be. But even they didn't imagine it would look this bad, so it was time to make a change.
Ryan Clark, NFL analyst extraordinaire for ESPN, right here with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio, ESPN News. Is Pat Shurmur somebody New Yorkers should believe in?
I don't think so. I mean, he's had this opportunity before, and he didn't do well then. Obviously, you see when he took over this team for McAdoo, it wasn't a team that had a ton of talent, but you did have Odell Beckham Jr., you did have Landon Collins, and Dave Gettleman comes in and gets rid of those players. And so now you have a talent-depleted team with a coach who hasn't proven he could be successful as a head coach in this league, with a coach who hasn't proven he could motivate players to want to play and do the things and have the type of energy needed to win football games. So right now, the jury is not out on him. Right now, he's guilty, and so he can prove to us that he's innocent and prove to us that he is a good coach. And if I'm a New Yorker, if I'm a fan of this team, I believe the best thing that's going to happen to this team is when Daniel Jones gets a new head coach and they move into the future.
But doesn't he get to somewhat hide behind Daniel Jones because Daniel Jones is a rookie, his first career start, game 3 of this season? Doesn't that buy Pat Shurmur some time in terms of avoiding being ridiculed as extensively as we're tempted to do?
I believe it will buy him time, but not necessarily as much as starting Daniel Jones right away this season would have, because now it looks like, you see the season is failing, so you're going to put Daniel Jones in and let him play now when you made the decision as an organization at the beginning of the year to go with Eli. You thought that was your best chance of winning, and you don't get to be let out of that bad decision just because you can come back and correct it 2 weeks later. So Pat Shurmur is going to be judged on what this team looks like with Daniel Jones. He is going to be judged on what type of progression Daniel Jones makes as a first-year starter throughout this season from week 3 to week 17. And I don't believe it lets him off the hook. This team's going to have to show progress. This team's going to have to show that there is some life in it as it pertains to working to win football games in New York. And if he doesn't show that, I think that Dave Gettleman could be looking for a new coach. Even though these guys are tied together from a certain standpoint, Dave Gettleman also knows he is more closely tied to his draft pick, Daniel Jones, his success and how that success brings wins to the New York Giants.
Ryan Clark, let's transition to the AFC because there's news emanating out of Jacksonville. Jalen Ramsey obviously wants to be traded. He believes it's time for him to go. He's not the one that leaked the information. His camp is not the one that leaked the information, but nevertheless, it's out. Where do you believe the best landing spot is for him? And do you believe he's completely justified in demanding to get the hell up out of Jacksonville?
You know, I believe he's justified. I can't say I would have believed it before now. I don't necessarily believe you can say you want out of a place because you don't get a deal before, you know, the last year of your contract, which he has this year and also the fifth-year option. I don't believe you can ask out of a place because you have Blake Bortles as your quarterback and the offense hasn't provided for you enough wins. But when you have an altercation like you have on the sideline with Doug Marrone, and this doesn't absolve Jalen Ramsey of any culpability, of any guilt in this situation, but when your head coach, after a situation has dissipated, when he walks over to get in the face of a player, that's an issue. And then when you speak on Tuesday and when asked, have you spoken to that head coach, there's been no conversation. That means there's a relationship there that can't be mended. That means that there's a relationship there that there's no repair for. And so if this is the way you're going to be treated, if coaches are going to get in your face, we obviously know Jalen Ramsey can't retaliate in that situation, then it's time to go. If we can't conduct ourselves in a way where there is mutual respect, then that's not the place for me. And, you know, you've seen the rumors of Kansas City, I think more so because that's the place people want Jalen Ramsey to go. They would love to see Jalen Ramsey along with that offense so someone has an opportunity to beat the Kansas City Chiefs. You know, he stated that he played in Oakland or that he played in Seattle. And so it's not necessarily right now where is the best fit for him, but it'll be which team is willing to take him and also have to understand that along with taking Jalen Ramsey and giving up, whether it's 2 first-rounder or a first-rounder plus, you have to be willing to get this long-term deal done in the manner in which he wants it.
Looking at the New England Patriots, seeing that Antonio Brown is on this squad, it was almost like we're calling them the Golden State Warriors of the NFL. The New England Patriots are absolutely loaded. Nobody's going to beat them. But if the Kansas City Chiefs, with Patrick Mahomes leading the way, were to get Tyreek Hill back healthy and acquire Jalen Ramsey, what does that do as it pertains to the balance of power in the AFC as far as you're concerned, Ryan Clark?
It makes the Kansas City Chiefs a different team because the Kansas City Chiefs aren't rich at talent at the cornerback position. That's a position of need for them, even though, you know, you have a young Breland who Tyrann Mathieu said played to the standard last week. He's no Jalen Ramsey. We understand that the Kansas City Chiefs will be able to score points with anyone in the league. But the one thing the New England Patriots have this year that I think more than any year in the recent times of Tom Brady's career is they have a legit top defense. Stephon Gilmore is in the category and conversation with Jalen Ramsey for best lockdown corner in the league. So Jalen Ramsey wouldn't necessarily tip the power, Stephen A., but he would definitely even it off. He would definitely give you a situation where you could say, okay, Josh Gordon or Antonio Brown, Jalen Ramsey, we're going to line you up across from that guy, and we will play zone away from you because we feel you can match up one-on-one and take these guys out. And the reason you know that is because you've seen Jalen Ramsey do it before. If I'm Jalen Ramsey and if I'm Kansas City, that is something I want. If he is truly about winning, as he said in his press conference, there is no better place for him to be, Stephen A.
Last question on a different note, real quick. You're a former member of the Pittsburgh Steelers. You won a title with this organization. You still have very close ties and roots to the Pittsburgh Steelers organization. With Big Ben Roethlisberger, it being announced that he is out for the year, are you with me when I say the Steelers season is over? They're finished.
I am. Can I also say this, Stephen A.? I don't know how much of a season they would have had with Big Ben. You know, I just watching him play, watching these young wide receivers, there was no chemistry, there was no energy. I actually believe it's a good thing that Ben is out. Not that I want him to be hurt, but now you've taken the expectations of this season away, right? You've taken away, can Big Ben do it? Can Mike Tomlin and Big Ben find a way to make a team that has lost in Antonio Brown, that has lost in Le'Veon Bell? Can that team compete? Can that team win the AFC North? Now nobody believes in this team. Now you have a rallying cry. Now Mike Tomlin can go in on Monday and get this team together and coach it from a stripped-down perspective as we grow and progress together. There is no Moncrief, there is no James Washington, Juju Smith-Schuster feeling bad or coming back to the huddle dejected because he ran the wrong route. Because he's going to get back to Mason Rudolph and say, I'm going to do it better next time. And Mason Rudolph's going to say, hey, brother, we're in this thing together. And so I think this is a good thing for this team. They can now evaluate it from the standpoint of how they move forward. And you'll find out if Mason Rudolph can be your quarterback of the future. You add a piece in Minka Fitzpatrick. So now you say, okay, we have a young nucleus. Can this young nucleus be the new era of the Pittsburgh Steelers? Because with Ben getting hurt, it's the old one is over.
Ryan Clark, got to get on out of here. Go ahead and do your thing. NFL Live, Sports Center, and beyond. Appreciate your contribution to First Take and the Stephen A. Smith Show right here on ESPN Radio as well, my man. Take it easy. We'll talk soon.
Thank you, my boy. Appreciate it.
All right. One and only Ryan Clark right here with Stephen A. ESPN Radio, ESPN News, 888-SAY-ESPN. That's 888-729-3776. We'll get you your calls and more before closing out hour number one, so stick around. Don't touch that dial. It's Stephen A. ESPN Radio, ESPN News.